joined by a true global visionary, Mike Handcock. As an award winning speaker, best selling author, and president elect of the Global Speakers Federation, Mike fuses ancient spiritual insights with modern business mastery. In this episode, we'll explore how embracing your essence can fuel success, why sacred sites are most relevant than ever, and what it really means to lead with consciousness. If you're ready to build a business with soul, this one's for you. Welcome to the show, Mike. It's an honor to have you.
It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Mhm. So, Mike, you have helped hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs globally. Why do you believe integrating spirituality into business creates more authentic and lasting success?
Well, I think that people make a mistake by thinking that, we live in a material world. We don't. We're spirits having a material experience. So when I look at anybody, whether they're in a job or in a business or anything, they've got to walk with one foot in the material world and one foot in the spiritual world. And if you're leaning to either way too much, then you're going to hop through life. So there's a lot of people out there that go, "Oh, I'm a spiritual person. I don't need the material world." Well, they're not really experiencing this life. And then there's a lot of people who are purely material based and they're not embracing the spiritual side of life. So they're not really living life either. And I think that if you're in business, the more the business resonates with your soul, resonates with your soul purpose, resonates with what you love and your deep inner essence, then naturally the better the business will be and the more you'll enjoy.
Right. And what's the biggest internal shift you have seen when someone truly aligns with their spiritual essence in business?
Well, I think that it's not particularly one biggest shift. I see this shift all the time, that when people embrace the spiritual side of themselves, everything changes in their business. They stop doing things a certain way. They try and do things a new way. They they become more relational and less transactional, and they find that even though that may see them have a dip in revenue initially, that in a year, 2 years, they're three, four, five, 10 times the size that they were. They're able to reach heights they never believed that they could reach before. And they have a oneness. They become less frantic. They become less stressed. They have more of a oneness with the universe. They know that if somebody says no to them, it was meant to happen and the timing's not right, not that somebody hates them and they don't want to do business with them. So I think the big changes that I see are people becoming more complete. They become nicer people. They have better relationships with their families and friends, and they build much stronger businesses.
That's such a profound reminder that success isn't just about hustle, it's about harmony.
Well, success is about both, really. And, I don't particularly like the word hustle at all. I think if you feel that you're hustling, then you're probably not doing things right. Um, but I think if you can make more of your business about harmony, then you will feel more successful regardless of what the outcome is on any given day or week or month. That's the nature of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. And you have explored sacred sites across the world. What is it about these places that hold so much energetic or spiritual power?
Well, I think that if you're looking at sacred sites from a planetary point of view, I think the first point is that most of us really don't know who built them or how long they've been there. And most sacred sites, whether it be even the Vatican Church, is built on a much older site that existed there beforehand. And that site is then built on a much older site. So for those listeners that are hearing this for the first time, and didn't know this, the planet has energy lines. Think of it like arteries in your body or veins in your body, and they're called ley lines. And where they cross over, there's points of those that are much more powerful than others. And strangely enough, a lot of the big cities on the planet have been built on those ley lines. New York is a good example of that. It was previously a buffalo run that the Native American Indians used to hunt the buffalo on, and it's a hugely energetic site. Um, you know, Paris is another one. So a lot of these older cities are built there. So I think in relation to your question, sacred sites for me are fascinating because you get something from them. There's a point where there's a convergence of energy. There's a point where there's resonant energy of the people and practices and lifestyles that they had in the past. And I think all you have to do is go to, you know, an ancient temple in India or in Egypt, for instance. It would be another great place. Sadly, we can't go to the ones in Iraq these days at the moment, but those type of places hold phenomenal messages of love and knowledge from the past. And I think, I would encourage any entrepreneur listening to this to go to the old places, the sacred places, with your journal and sit there and meditate and think about your business for a while. You'll be surprised what ideas you have that could really fast track you forward.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And have you seen how visiting or learning from these places directly transforms how people show up in their work?
Oh, absolutely. I see people have amazing um, responses to visiting these places, and for 10 years we had a travel company called Soul Journeys, where we would take entrepreneurs and put them in some incredible places. We ran Asia's first spiritual tour. We've taken them to places like Machu Picchu in Peru, and into the Teotihuacan temples in Mexico and Bolivia and India and Egypt, and the list goes on and on and on. And I think what I've seen is that people start to understand their purpose more. And when they're at these places and they look at the bigger picture of life, they realize that they didn't come here to get, they came here to give and to love. And they start defining their life more. And when anyone defines their life more and has a much stronger sense of purpose, then they're more driven to reach that goal. And that doesn't mean that they find that more driven hard work. In fact, somebody who's doing a very odd job a couple of days a week that they don't like probably finds what they're doing much harder work than people who are working very hard, who are driven to get their goals. So I've seen that trigger in seconds of people going to places. I've watched people walk into a site that they were going, oh, this will be interesting, and within 2 minutes fall on the ground in tears because it's triggered something unknowing inside them, and that knowing then, once it's coached out of them, can become incredibly transformational for
Mm-hmm. I love how your work bridges history, energy, and strategy. It feels like a global soul map for entrepreneurs.
them. Just give me that question again. It just cut out a little bit.
No, I was just saying, I love how your work bridges history,
All right.
energy, and strategy. And so there's growing interest in conscious leadership. What does it mean to you, and how can leaders today embody it in a grounded, real world way?
Well, I think firstly is there are many different versions of conscious leadership, like there are many different versions of a pizza, really. So, but the basic fundamentals are the same. You can't have a pizza unless you have a pizza base, which is some dough, and generally on top of that dough, there's some cheese and some tomato sauce. And conscious leadership is the same, really, is that there's some fundamental principles. And the fundamental principle of it for anybody who's embracing it in an organization is to leave whatever it is, in better shape than when you attained it. So if that's a house and you're a conscious leader, then to renovate it and leave that house in better shape than when you attained it. If it's a business and you're a CEO, to leave that in better shape. And if it's a marketplace for an entrepreneur, to leave that in better shape. So it comes down to, and I like Forbes's description of it, which they had in their magazine in 2016. And it says conscious leaders really need to focus on 5 things. And those 5 things are: number 1, a purposeful vision, whereas leaders have vision, but how purposeful is it? Number 2, a collaborative mindset. Most people have a competitive mindset, but if we shift that from competitive to collaboration, amazing doors open for us. Number 3 is values-based leadership, whereas a lot of leadership is bottom line based leadership, which is not sustainable, I don't think, in the modern world, and particularly into the future. Number 4 is making a difference every day. And number 5 is legacy. In other words, leaving the business in better shape than what you found it. I think these principles of conscious leadership can be embraced whether you're starting a business in a small town somewhere in the world today, or whether you're taking over a role in a big company today. Either or, you can embrace these: a purposeful vision, of values-based leadership, of collaborative mindset, of making a difference every day, and, leaving a legacy.
That's amazing. And how do you coach someone who's afraid that being spiritual in business might be too out there for the industry?
Well, I think the first thing is that you have to help people understand that there isn't a choice. And the choice is that if you don't embrace a spiritual harmony in your business and in your business ideals, then the alternative is to take a purely materialistic view. So therefore, you may end up very wealthy and very unhappy. You're probably not going to end up wealthy and happy. And because you're just chasing money all the time and making decisions based on what can get you the fastest dollar, you're probably not going to have relationships, including those with your family. And nobody's ever going to talk about you. And if they do, they won't say good things. So you might have a Mercedes Benz and a yacht, but you'll be the only one who cares. Whereas I think if you embrace your business with a passion for spiritual harmony, in other words, what is my business doing that's good for the planet? What is it doing that's good for the people? What is it doing that's good for the animals? What is it doing that's good for the greater good? What is it doing to be a good custodian of the future? And some of those type of questions, then you just approach things in a different way. And when you approach things in a different way, they become the centerpieces, and they become things that you become memorable for. And they become reasons why other people want to do business with you, and reasons why other people talk to you. And suddenly, surprisingly, you become more wealthy because people like you and want to do business with you. That's really the answer, from my perspective anyway.
That's such a powerful shift, moving from performance to presence in leadership.
It is about presence. I mean, most people aren't present. They're not present to what's going on around them right now. Even if they're listening to this, they're unaware of other things that are happening around them. Whereas I think the more we can become aware of our environment and what's going on, because our environment is just a reflection of us. If you're surrounded by grumpy people, guess what? You're probably a grumpy person, because I'm not surrounded by grumpy people at all. If you're surrounded by people who are constantly asking you for money, it's probably because you're constantly asking people for money. We're just a reflection of our environment, and our environment's just a reflection of us. So the more you can do to create and facilitate an excellent environment for you, your employees, your family, and the people around you, I think the better off you'll be as a business person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you have authored 7 books and built multiple companies. What role has intuition played in your decision making? And do you believe everyone can develop that skill?
You can definitely develop that skill. Intuition is like a muscle. So you need to go to the intuition gym to develop it. And I'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. And intuition is everything to me, and it's everything to everybody that I know who's ever been successful. I remember sitting down with a billionaire once, and I've sat down with many billionaires. Actually, he's from India, and and I asked him, "What's the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire?" And he said, "There are three things that make up the difference between billionaires and millionaires." He said, "If you want to go from being a millionaire to a billionaire, you have to become far more decisive than you are now." And he gave me the example that he takes less than a minute to make most decisions. Doesn't matter how much money's involved. Secondly, you have to have a much better network. That makes common sense. Everybody can understand that. And thirdly, you must highly develop your skill of intuition. And so it's intuition, decisiveness, and network are the keys to being a billionaire, according to this billionaire. And so for me in my business, intuition is everything. I mean, shall we go left? Shall we go right? We're going to go the way that feels right, regardless of what any ridiculous business plan, government, bank, competitor, etc. is doing. And most of the time it works. And the times that it doesn't, we learn the most amazing things that help us grow from that. So how can somebody who's not used to using their intuition start to learn to use it? Think about something simple like getting a parking spot right in front of the shop that you want to go to. Use your intuition about what time to go to the shop. Use your intuition about what time to pull into the street, you know, and just start to see what starts to crop up. Use your intuition about when is best to phone your potential prospect, you know, whereas most people go, "Oh, I've got a list of people I've got to ring now because I've got to call them and see if I can make some meetings." I would more rather go, "I think now is the exact right time to ring Susan because I just feel that she's going to be available now." And that way you'll get a much better result. You've got to train yourself to use it.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And can you share a moment when following your intuition lead to a breakthrough you hadn't expected?
Well, I think probably that intuition is definitely in my relationship with my wife. It was intuition that led me to her. It was intuition that told me the time was right to ask her to go out with me, and it was intuition that told me the time was right to ask her to marry me. So, I mean, I could have given you a business one, but I think it works on so many levels. And as I said before, there's not a day goes past where I'm not using my intuition for something or other. In terms of business, um, a great example would be meeting somebody and deciding whether to go into business with them or not. And I've met thousands of people who on paper would be great people to go into business with, that my intuition has said, "No, just don't go near them. They're not the right person for you." And doesn't mean that other people don't love them or whatever, but they're not the right person for me. And so I think the times that I've made the biggest mistakes is when I haven't listened to my intuition.
It's so validating to hear that even high level strategy can be deeply intuitive and soul led.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's sort of like if the really smart people, and I think Richard Branson summed this up very well in his first book, is He didn't sit down for weeks and weeks and weeks and do business plans on buying an airline. He came up with the idea, intuition. I think I'm going to buy an airline. He put an offer in on the airline and started it. And then he rung Sir Freddie Laker, who was the first person who introduced him to whole other people. And he said, I just bought an airline and I'm starting one and I have no idea what to do. Now I need a business plan. Now I need resources. Now I need money. Now I need everything else. You know, I think any real estate agent would tell you this. They'll get two people, husband and wife, come in to view a house that they're selling. And the husband or wife will go, oh, this is so perfect. It's exactly what I've been looking for. Oh, it's so wonderful. And they'll say, well, do you want to buy it? And I'll say, we're just going to think it over overnight and we'll get back to you in the morning. And they think it over overnight and then they're so excited and they get back in the morning and the real estate agent says, sorry, I sold it last night. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that same story because people's intuition is it's perfect, but somehow in our human makeup, generally through education, the education system, we've been taught, no, you must think about things. You must do your due diligence. You must make a plan. And because of that, you lose out on amazing opportunities. Whereas all they had to do is say, I would like to buy that house subject to us giving you final approval tomorrow morning. We'll sign a contract, final approval tomorrow morning. That way, if the contract's live, they never would have lost the house. Simple stuff, but people don't think of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And for listeners feeling called to lead with more purpose but unsure where to start, what's one actionable step they can take today to align their business with their inner truth?
It's a great question. I think firstly is to start to realize what do they actually love. And when I say what do they love playing golf? Do they love making a barbecue? Do they love children? Do they love making, model airplanes? What is it that they love? And if you don't know what that is and you're listening to this, then go and have a look at your YouTube history and see what you've been watching a lot of, and go and have a look at your Amazon history and see what you've been reading a lot of. That's probably what you love. So if you've been reading 1,000 books on communication, you probably love communication. If you are constantly watching videos about music, then you probably love music. And then my challenge to you would be but what could you do in order to bring something that you love more into your business? So for instance, in my business, I love music, I love ancient wisdom, and I love travel. So my business has taken me to 114 countries now. I've worked in more than 50 of them with clients. I've got clients in more than 50 countries. Music is constantly right next to me. In fact, I can reach out and touch a musical instrument from where I'm sitting with you right now. It's intricately involved in our business, from the various events that we do and other things that we showcase and things like that. And, today I've been talking about a lot of ancient wisdom, and I talk about that a lot. So with people and share different things depending on what people want to know about. So I think the first step for anybody is to find out who they are, what's the essence of them that they really love, and try and bring that more into what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. And what's your message to entrepreneurs navigating doubt or spiritual disconnection?
My message is to realize that probably every single person flows in and out of spiritual connection, unless you're a guru. So, there's going to be months where you probably forget to meditate or pray. There's going to be other places where it's top of mind. There's going to be months where you have big successes and you forget to thank the people upstairs that actually put it all together for you. But because we're all human, we all do that. But my message is that the more that you can purposefully involve a spiritual side to your business through everything from rituals to meditation, prayer, etc., um, talking to your ancestors, honoring people that came before, looking at how you can be more conscious and relatable to the planet and its people. With all of that, then you will just simply become more conscious and more connected. And when you're more connected, things will come to you more easily.
That's an incredible takeaway. It's about taking aligned steps, not waiting for perfect clarity.
That's exactly right.
Mhm. So, Mike, thank you for guiding us through the intersection of spirit and success with such clarity. And to everyone listening, your business can be your sacred practice. Explore sacred sites, trust your essence, and build something that reflects your soul. And until next time, keep walking your path in purpose and power.
Yeah, I would think that's a wonderful way to sum everything up. So I want to thank all of the viewers and thank you for such a great podcast today. And if you want to connect with me, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Mike Handcock, Handcock, or you can simply go to our website, which is circleofexcellence.biz, B-I-Z. And you'll notice straight away as soon as you go there, it has a very spiritual feel to it, even though it's a business website. And there's plenty of things that you can look at there or connect with us there. So thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mike. It was a pleasure. Have an amazing day.